At my wedding, my sister-in-law mocked my $350 dress, smashed my cake with a grin. I grinned back. By the way, I have proof of your affair. Her face froze. Sarah despised me from the start. 3 years ago, Liam presented me, and she replied, "You're not what I expected." She wanted a wealthy, connected person to promote their family. I earned $40,000 teaching. Strike one. Second strike, not letting her host our engagement party. She ordered everything unasked. Country club catering for invited friends. Surprise, she said. Cancelled. I've handled everything. Planning backyard cookout. I was unappreciative, she remarked. Strike three. Bridal dress choice. Reservation at her wealthy friend's store. Dresses from $12,000. Purchased online for $350. She told Liam she humiliated the family. Sarah said, "She's trying to make us look poor. What will people think?" Wedding preparations was stressful. She scrutinized my every move. I picked roses, ordered orchids. I picked DJ, booked string quartets, selected photographer. Friend oversaw her wedding. Liam always supported me, angering Sarah. Her final effort was the week before the wedding. She said, "I've been thinking, at supper. Perhaps we should wait. Allow time to prepare." It's planned, adds. Everything's perfect. Perfect? A church basement reception, she joked. Grocery store flowers. Nobody's bakery cake. Mrs. Lee's $2,500 cake has 4 vanilla and lemon tiers with handmade sugar flowers. Most expensive. Sarah thought it was inexpensive because it wasn't from her approved vendors. Beautiful ceremony. Liam cried seeing me. Sarah wore white designer gowns that cost more than our wedding. I forgot about the color rule, she remarked. Oops. She left after taking photos while setting up the reception, citing cosmetic issues. The coordinator took me 15 minutes before dinner guests arrived. The cake has a problem. I covered all 4 layers at the reception. Liam comforted me as I mourned my dream cake. Frosting everywhere, sugar flowers crushed, the handwriting, oops. Sarah's signature. Accidents happen, his mother reassured me. Sarah said kids ran through earlier. Oh no. What happened? This is bad. Cake's good, right? Unimportant overall. Baker brought backup flowers and she gasped. Who would? Removing her phone. I should review security footage. A camera was set up to time-lapse the setup. My heart stopped when Sarah blanched. Security footage? Yes, Lee. I always record portfolio setup. See what occurred. Sarah entered, looked around, got the serving knife, carefully pushed each tier, took her finger, grinned, and wrote oops in the icing. The room was quiet. Liam's mother took Sarah. You could? Sarah lied. My attempts to fix it brought tears. We can see you pushing them, Liam said. We can see you writing oops. Not illegally. Sarah's husband David texted me urgent information for weeks. He questioned, is Sarah cheating? She's seldom home. Credit cards and calls are always private. Carlos texted that morning as Sarah's phone buzzed while getting ready. He adds, can't wait to see you next week when David's away. It was time. David, I said, you should probably know why Sarah was late to the ceremony. After watching the cake video, David glanced up. What? Check her phone, Carlos texts. Sarah grabbed her purse and David found texts immediately. Visuals and tips for traveling using David's money. You said you were at your mother's last weekend, he said. You spent time with him while I watched kids? Room froze. Liam prevented Sarah from going for David's phone, which looked like it could explode. Shaking him off, she grabbed him, but Liam held on. 60 silent observers. I heard myself gasping. Chairs scraped floors. Sarah cried and reddened. More messages flashed as David gently swiped. Before Sarah could shove past him again, Liam tightened his hand on her shoulder. Near the cake table, the wedding coordinator froze, holding her clipboard loosely. Mrs. Lee recorded Sarah demolishing my cake on her phone. A simultaneous slow-fast feeling. It was bigger than expected. David's children were in this place. His marriage ended in front of everyone. My retribution moment escaped me. Sarah cried loudly and sounded desperate, stating the texts were bogus. She likely hacked her phone and searched around for guests to believe her. David read and scrolled. In the silent room, everyone could hear his faint voice after he stopped. He read aloud that Sarah wrote Carlos that she loved him more than her husband because Carlos made her feel alive like David never could. Sarah denied being hit and said someone was trying to end her marriage. Liam's mother grabbed David's arm through the mob and advised them to relax and talk quietly. Inappropriate time and place. David retracted his arm to look at her. Sarah publicly insulted Bella's wedding to accept fate. David flipped through his phone, shivering yet calm. He saw another message about Sarah renting a hotel with his credit card and saying Carlos David was boring and predictable. Sarah said it was a scam, but David found images of her laughing, kissing, and holding an unknown man. Coughing, Liam looked aside. David gave his brother the phone as he went past the mob. Brother tapped phone screen. David told Sarah he was taking the kids and she shouldn't come tonight. He'd pack her tomorrow. Sarah blanched. Her nails pierced my skin as she begged me to tell David this was a mistake and that I was hurting her over the cake. She stated I fabricated texts. Sarah grasped a chair and pulled back as her leg gave out, blocking Liam's view. She was crying so hard she was gasping. Yes, David approached the door. Sarah shrieked his name. He continued till he vanished into the corridor. The wedding coordinator said, "Maybe we should move everyone to the dining room. Dinner and reception salvage may be possible." Sarah cried in her chair as onlookers watched. Friends contacted her, but she declined. Liam took my hand and we proceeded to the dining room sweetheart table. He had no idea what to do as his sister's life collapsed. Our table received plates of food. The room was filled with whispers as they struggled to comprehend what they saw. I was most embarrassed at dinner. Everyone stared at the other room's door after someone laughed too loudly at a joke. Sarah fought and cried. The brother of David replied. The tone was apparent, but the message was unclear. At a nearby table, my concerned parents sat. My mom kept staring at me, frightened. She quietly inquired if I was okay. Was unsure how to answer. I was glad Sarah got punished. David's despair made me feel guilty. I'm glad everyone saw her ruin my cake. Without speaking, Liam gripped my hand under the table. What could he say? At our wedding, his sister fainted in front of 60 people. Mid-dinner, Liam's mother whispered to him. Sarah sobbed in the next room and requested to talk. Liam shrugged at me before asking. I informed his mother that Sarah's cheating ruined my cake. She chose those texts and photographs to spoil my wedding night, therefore I didn't console her. Liam's mother contended Sarah was her daughter, sister and family. I agreed but declined. So she departed without saying anything. Liam sighed and apologized for his sister's actions. I told him not to apologize, but he looked guilty. Some visitors hugged me goodbye. They said Sarah deserved it, I was right to expose her, and someone needed to stand up to her. But their comments were empty. I envisioned David's shaky hands and broken voice reading those letters. I knew Sarah did awful things, but seeing a marriage end wasn't fulfilling. To avoid Sarah crying in the main hall, we approached our wedding night hotel room from the side. We found rose petals on the bed, champagne in a bucket, and a hotel note congratulating us. I sat next to Liam, who had his head in his hands on the bed. We talked for hours about his sister, family, and our feelings. Instead of celebrating, we tackled family issues. We slept without champagne at daybreak. Liam answered the phone the next morning and heard his mother's harsh, irritated voice. I realized something more happened when he sat up swiftly. After disconnecting up, he said Sarah tried to visit David's brother's house where David was staying with the kids. After David's brother refused her admission, she screamed and pounded. Her neighbors phoned the police, who detained but did not arrest her. Stay away and leave. Liam looked at me, fatigued and sorry, after our 4-hour trip to Mexico. Could we postpone for a few days? I wanted to decline and advise Sarah not plan our honeymoon. We need to discuss where to keep Sarah and how to handle the kids. Liam went to his parents' house to greet his mother and David after everything. I arrived alone to our flat, which we relocated into last month. Sarah reviewed my bridal dress on the closet door. I contemplated cake. Mrs. Lee spent weeks making 4 levels of sugar blossoms, crushed and written. That day Sarah's infidelity was exposed at my wedding will be remembered. Not like Liam and mine wedding. Not our perfect day. The day everything fell apart, I grieved on our couch. Chest-deep sobs. I grieved in her arms over my ruined cake and celebration. She kept saying I was right to expose Sarah, and she deserved it. But I kept thinking about David's face and those kids who were too young to understand why their mom couldn't come home. Liam probably texted her. David swiftly filed documents charging infidelity and requesting full custody after consulting a divorce lawyer that morning. Liam arrived that evening exhausted with red eyes and sagging shoulders. Sarah stayed with friends because Liam's mother wouldn't let her stay at their house. His mother mourned and questioned how. Liam said his mother was unhappy at me for informing David about the affair at the wedding and insulting Sarah. Liam told me his mother knew Sarah publicly ruined my wedding cake, wore white to my wedding, and spent months manipulating and undermining me. But she couldn't believe it. Being outraged with me was simple. Sarah picked. She trashed my cake and wrote those texts. I told the truth. Liam nodded. But his family was coming apart that he couldn't mend. After taking a taxi to our Cancun resort, our balcony offered an ocean view, but Liam's phone called before we unloaded. David reset the locks when his mother called about Sarah, who was with a friend. The kids kept wondering when mommy would return. Liam paces on the balcony while talking to her. I stare at my bag on the bed. Sarah was crying while we swam and lounged under an umbrella the next morning, so Liam held the phone to his ear. She urged him to talk to David to give her another chance. She shouted more and stated she erred and was abandoned. He looked sick and hung up. We had a great time snorkeling. Colorful fish, warm, immaculate coral reefs. I forgot everything for an hour. Liam had 6 missed calls when we landed. After 3 calls from his mother, 2 from Sarah, and 1 from his younger brother, we ordered room service and ate on the balcony while he dealt with family. The next day was better. We viewed Mayan temples and took a boat cruise to ruins. The guide detailed their builders' society. Liam relaxed while holding my hand as we talked our future, where we wanted to live long-term, babies and marriage in a tiny restaurant over lunch. His mother, Sarah, arrived crying at their house. Dad let her in and they stayed for dinner. Mother thought Liam was recovering and asked when we might see Sarah and rebuild the family. Liam responded he wasn't sure. His mother went quiet and hoped we wouldn't bear this grudge long. On day 4, his mother called again while we were enjoying breakfast by the pool. Last night Carlos deleted her number, pulled his social media, and departed since he knew the affair was out and didn't want the consequences. Sarah was distraught because she thought Carlos loved her and their future. His mother mumbled something that hardened his face and put her on speaker. Her scratchy, irritated voice remarked, "Maybe Sarah and Carlos could have sorted things if I hadn't so spectacularly revealed everything at the wedding." I was heated and shaking. His mother persisted despite Liam's interruption. She understood my cake anxiety, but did I need to ruin Sarah's life? Sarah betrayed her family, took David's money for vacations, and damaged my wedding cake. Told the truth. Mother of Liam cried. She called me horrible since Sarah was her daughter and divorcing. I advised Sarah to consider the repercussions before acting. The phone was grabbed and Liam talked forcefully. He informed his mother he loved his sister, but she decided. We hoped to escape this chaos on our honeymoon. Mother shouted something I didn't understand. Liam hung up after promising to call her home by the pool. We sat quietly. My hands shook. Liam grabbed one. He apologized, claimed his mother was incorrect, and I didn't do anything wrong, but his eyes were tired. During our honeymoon in Mexico, family drama interrupted every intimate time with lunch calls and texting. I was fatigued when we returned a week later. And Liam's brother drove us from the airport and explained everything. Aunts, uncles and cousins discussed the wedding, some encouraging me. Liam's aunt labeled me vindictive in family group chat, stating I could have handled it gently. She thanked me for stopping Sarah's bullying. Liam's cousin wrote, "The family split." When Liam and I got home to our apartment, I understood this schism would define family gatherings for years, possibly forever. David's lawyer requested security footage of Sarah trashing the cake 2 weeks after we returned to illustrate her character and behavior for the divorce. Liam, seated next to me, nodded as I agreed immediately. This lawyer thanked me and promised to give the paperwork. Mom called Liam an hour later crying and said I was trying to destroy Sarah's life. That disseminating the film was harsh and needless, and that Sarah and David should resolve their issues. Liam told her the footage showed Sarah intentionally trashing my belongings. Mom hung up. Liam informed me a few days later that David had filed for divorce, citing adultery and wanting primary custody. David didn't know Sarah used a credit card Liam found with $17,000 in purchases and hired an expensive attorney. Sarah said she had an affair because David ignored her, worked too much, and was emotionally distant. When I returned to work Monday, my teacher friends inquired about the wedding. I said my sister-in-law had trouble and they wanted details whole school knew by Wednesday. Teachers I rarely spoke to asked me in the hallway. The lunch ladies wondered if my sister-in-law damaged my cake. My principal called me into her office Friday afternoon to check on me and cautioned me to keep workplace problems secret. She heard it at my wedding, not work. She nodded nervously. Sarah wanted my lessons to stay intact. 3 weeks after the wedding, I saw her social media post. It was about betrayal, someone kicking you when you're down, honesty in harsh circumstances, and her friends' sympathies, inquiry, and support. I received messages from non-wedding attendees inquiring what happened. I sent security footage. They saw Sarah intentionally ruin my cake, write "oops" in the frosting, and smile. They were shocked, disgusted, and apologized their stupidity. 2 days later, Sarah's post disappeared and her account went private. Liam stated she raged at him, said I was turning everyone against her, that wedding guests were commenting on her postings with the truth about the affair and cake, that her friends were writing her asking if it was genuine, and that everyone was selecting my side. She did this to herself, Liam reminded her. She hung up. 1 month after the wedding, Liam mentioned his birthday, wanted to have dinner with relatives, and recommended bringing Sarah to heal the family rift. I considered him nuts. I wouldn't pretend everything was fine across from her. She wrecked my wedding cake and her marriage exploded during my celebration, so I requested more time. He stated I was unforgiving and worsening the problem by not moving on in my chest. Rage. He didn't blame me for not wanting to attend dinner with the woman who purposely ruined my wedding, but we had to consider his family, parents, and recovery. I declared my unreadiness. The couch was his bed that night. Next morning I packed a bag while Liam got ready for work. He calmly watched me from the doorway. My friend Sarah swiftly agreed to house me for a few days. Driving across town before Liam, I stopped at Sarah's house for coffee and explanations. For his birthday, Liam wants Sarah. He called me unforgiving. She suggested none. Just let me talk. I stayed 2 days. Worked from home. The first day, I ignored Liam's calls. I asked him for time to think. He sounded tired. Asserted comprehension. On the third morning, Liam came at Sarah's flat before I went for work. He looked terrible with wrinkled clothes and heavy circles. He apologized in Sarah's doorway, said pressing me about Sarah was improper, and pledged to wait until I was ready. I followed him home. 6 weeks after the wedding, Sarah's social media buddy and wedding guest Laura arrived as I added veggies to my grocery cart. We chatted little but enjoyed being teammates again. I said sure. We proceeded to the produce. Laura said most of Sarah's friends cut ties after learning about the affair and cake. Asking what she meant by whole truth. Sarah claimed the cake destruction was an accident and that I'd disclosed her affair to spite her over wedding preparation issues, but too many wedding guests viewed the security footage and knew what happened. Sarah called people crying, stating she was abandoned when she needed help but nobody wanted her. The betrayal was excessive. After thanking Laura, we parted. I felt weird leaving shopping, relieved others understood the truth yet worried about Sarah's life's disintegration. He heard from his mother after work that Sarah lost a huge marketing account. Informed by common friends of the romance, the customer's wife, that Sarah's business reassign her. Liam said Sarah struggled to pay both her flat and pricey divorce counsel after losing the client with lower revenue. Liam shook his head and said Sarah had an affair and ruined my wedding cake. Her actions caused this, not my fines. To avoid his sister, Liam ordered takeaway and we watched TV for dinner. David's lawyer contacted asking about the wedding. 2 weeks later I agreed, and Liam took the afternoon off work to visit the lawyer downtown. The 50-year-old lawyer representing David was polite and professional. She asked about the wedding. Shattered cake, CCTV footage of Sarah purposely pushing each tier, and Carlos's text messages were recovered. Sarah's manipulation and control were thoroughly questioned. Sarah's lawyer videoconferenced a man in an expensive suit calling me malicious, stating I planned Sarah's public humiliation and could have told David discreetly. I stayed calm and informed him I'd kept silent about Carlos's messages all day until Sarah wrecked my cake and lied about it, revealing she'd betrayed her husband and spoiled my wedding. Sarah's lawyer spotted her smile while writing "oops" in my cake icing. The deposition ended. After David's lawyer thanked me and said my testimony would help, Liam and I left. He grabbed my hand in the elevator and said I did well for sharing the truth. Liam's mother invited us to Sunday dinner 2 months after the wedding, but Sarah declined. I missed Liam's father and younger brother. I concurred. Sunday, we visited their home. The table had 5 slots instead of 7. Sarah's vacant chair and kids tormented her. Dad hugged me. Younger sister fist bumped me. Liam's mother was pleasant yet strict. Dinner, pot roast. Liam's brother talked about college, his dad discussed job, and his mother said family should stay together. Forgiveness was crucial, and carrying grudges hurt everyone. She never mentioned me, but I felt targeted. Liam's dad switched topics multiple times. After dessert, I left. Mother gave Liam pie and said families must heal. Supporting each other through mistakes is loyalty. I ate my pie without commenting post-supper. Liam's dad requested garage help moving boxes. Followed him out. The garage door closed. He apologized to me, Said his wife was wrong to make those statements, that I showed Sarah, and that his daughter needed punishment. He said he and Liam's mother had always ignored Sarah's entitlement, placated her and let her injure others. He said his wife suffered with seeing Sarah suffer despite her own doing and requested me to be patient. I acknowledged that. I knew everyone battled. He hugged me, went inside and left fast. The whole way home, Liam clutched my hand. Sarah contacted me 3 days later with the subject line, "Please read." I browsed for 10 minutes before reading it. Several lines were long. She apologized for cake damage and admitted mental illness. David was cold, never came home, and disrespected her. Though she regretted her involvement with Carlos, she wanted love and attention. She said I ruined her life with one foolish decision and could have handled it discreetly, costing her marriage, kids, friends, reputation, and profession by releasing everything publicly. Closing the email exacerbated my rage. Like breaking my wedding cake was a minor oops, and I was supposed to shield her. Liam's mother asked to enter 5 days following the email. I let her sit in the living room and she spoke quickly. She wanted me to see how my actions harmed Sarah's children, who were confused, upset and didn't understand why their mother was divorcing and their family was destroyed. The kids wondered why I despised their mother. Jaw toughened. I advised Sarah to consider her children before having an affair and ruining my wedding, and I wasn't responsible for resolving it. Liam's mother blushed. She stated I was cruel, and that a good person would help Sarah reconcile with David for the kids. I stepped up and asked why Sarah's faults were always excused, and I was expected to fix everything when I hadn't done anything wrong. She stood, stating I was aggravating everything and tearing the family apart. His mother thought I was selfish and vindictive, prioritizing right over innocent children. Instead of telling the truth, I told her those children suffered because their mother lied. Her ideal wife would make Liam support his sister and prioritize family. I said I prioritized my marriage, that Sarah had sought to dominate and undermine me from the start, that she destroyed my wedding, and that she betrayed her family. Liam's mother called me nasty, said I had no compassion, and added I'd understand your child getting hurt. I expelled her and told Liam to select sides. With his family or wife. The door opens, she departed. I phoned Liam at work. He was informed. He returned early. Liam discovered me on the couch. I wept. Anger sobbing. Next to me, he wrapped his arm around me and stated his mother was wrong, that his loyalty was with me, that I wasn't responsible for his sister's consequences, and that his mother had no right to abuse me at home. Upset, Liam calmly informed her she couldn't blame me for Sarah's actions, to stop, and that he wouldn't let her make me the villain. She stressed family, and Liam stated she must respect me as his family. He appeared weary. Liam's cheeks, shoulders and temples showed weight loss and fatigue from mediating between his mother, sister and me. After 2 months of marriage, his family was pressuring us. He closed his eyes and put his head on the couch, taking his hand. Exhausted, we sat silently wondering how much more we could take. I had hot palms and a pounding heart in a courthouse waiting room 3 months after the wedding. While waiting for my name, Liam took my hand. David's lawyer informed me to expect straightforward questions about Sarah's behavior, the wedding, and what I saw. This terrified me for weeks. Bailiff shouted my name as he entered court. With shaky knees, I sat on the wooden witness stand chair, swore to the truth, and raised my right hand. Courtroom was smaller than imagined. David and his lawyer shared a table. Sarah joined her. She scowled at me. I felt accountable. Behind Sarah, Liam's mother scowled from the gallery. David's lawyer requested my identity and relationship. I answered. Then he inquired about the wedding. The cake was dirty, the icing everywhere, and the words scrawled. He asked me who did it. Yes, I said. Security footage, Sarah's meticulous pushing of each tier, finger writing, and smiling were discussed. Sarah's lawyer termed this hearsay. Did I watch the film? Asked the judge. Yes, I said. He agreed. David's attorney questioned Sarah's pre-wedding conduct, including the engagement party takeover, dress shop incident, regular attempts to control everything, entitled behavior, wearing white to my wedding, and informing others I was embarrassing the family. Sarah's lawyer said, "Keep overruling, Judge." David's counsel questioned Sarah's parenting. I hesitated, then stated I'd seen her put her own needs above her family's, that she'd lied to her husband, and that she'd used family money for an affair while David watched their kids. David's lawyer sat after thanking me. Sarah's lawyer got up, carrying a document, and inquired whether I had a grudge against his client. No, I replied. Why did I confess the affair at the wedding? I didn't plan it. Sarah destroyed my cake first, and I used the occasion. He claimed I was jealous and intended to damage Sarah. I kept my cool and told him the truth. I was given my printed social media posts and asked if I discussed wedding issues online. No, I said. My friends' posts about it were shown to me and requested for encouragement. No, I couldn't moderate friends' posts. He wanted security tape, which I provided. He argued this indicated I was trying to damage Sarah when her friends inquired what occurred. I add. Sarah lost those things because of her own choices, not because of me. He responded, "Do you enjoy watching her suffer?" Sarah's lawyer asked if David and I had communicated privately. I responded I didn't know about the affair when David approached me before the wedding. He alleged we plotted, which was preposterous. David's redirect lawyer asked for proof. The judge nodded and played security footage on a laptop facing him. No one spoke. The judge became horrified after watching Sarah enter the reception hall, glance around, pick up the serving knife, push the first layer, then the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and write icing with her finger. The lawyer displayed Sarah's months-long text messages with Carlos, including vacation plans, images, love notes, using David's money, lying to him, and leaving the kids with their dad to flee. The judge darkened each screen as David's lawyer confirmed phone records, credit card statements, and hotel receipts. After thanking me for my evidence, the court dismissed me. Shaken, I sat beside Liam at the exhibition. Sarah stared straight ahead. Lawyer murmured, shaking her head. Judge called a 15-minute recess. I opened the door, switched on the faucet, and sprayed cold water on my face to calm myself. Sarah appeared with scarlet cheeks and wild eyes, wishing me well and saying I'd ruined her connection with her children and everything. I turned off the water, looked at her, and told her she broke up with her partner, chose an affair over her family and lied to everyone. She approached, claimed I didn't understand, and said her marriage was shattered, David was distant, and she'd been unhappy for years. That didn't justify her actions. She betrayed everyone and destroyed my wedding out of anger. Her face twisted. She called me a spoiled baby who couldn't be ignored. Before I could react, the restroom door opened, and Sarah's lawyer raced, probably followed her, and grabbed her arm and hauled her out, whispering about injuring the judge. Sarah pointed at me and screamed she snapped because I'd wrecked her life. A lawyer wrestled her to the door, and she yelled and went, caressing my cheek. I exited the bathroom and met Liam in the hallway. He opened his eyes and asked what happened. Tell him. His countenance turned from nervous to irate as he neared the courtroom. I grabbed his arm and urged wait. A courthouse security officer described what happened, and a supervisor brought us to a tiny office. The supervisor warned me Sarah's record would reflect battery, a misdemeanor which could impact her custody case, but I didn't care. She hit me and demanded consequences. They gave me documents, a case number, and an officer would call. Liam grabbed my hand and apologized, saying his sister overstepped and he couldn't believe she attacked me. Sarah sat with the lawyer, appearing disturbed and running his hand through his hair. The bailiff called everyone to order. David's lawyer stated that Sarah assaulted me in the lavatory, that we reported it to the police, and that there was a witness. Sarah's lawyer protested, saying it was private. The judge interrupted him, saying custody hearing assault was relevant, and invited Sarah to stand, who stood slowly. She said I irritated her and she lost control, hitting the witness. The judge tensed. No words I said justified violence, and her fury was troubling given custody, Sarah cried. The judge stated he'd review the assault, so court adjourned till morning. That night, Liam's mother's phone rang. She shouted at me for endangering Sarah's life. She insisted that I was vindictive, nasty, and cared more about being right than Sarah's children, innocent children who needed their mother. Liam implored his mother to stop. His mother argued I could have helped Sarah instead of exacerbating matters. Liam said I told the truth and his sister chose. His mother burst out and said she couldn't watch her daughter suffer and wanted separation from us and me. Liam said he understood and was unhappy, but he was faithful to his wife sitting. Liam glanced at his phone, plainly in anguish. The next morning, the judge awarded David primary custody and Sarah supervised visitation every other weekend, citing numerous circumstances. It showed anger management, lying, and manipulation. He said Sarah wasn't ready for equal custody and that children's safety and stability came first. Sarah cried on the table while her lawyer consoled her. David stayed calm, indicating relief, sadness, and fatigue. I saw Sarah crack, shake, and pant. Seeing someone who hurt me fall was horrific. Liam and I saw a therapist 4 months after the wedding. We struggled and slept less due to his family's poverty. Liam looked sad and I was always uptight. We needed help. The older, calmer therapist asked why we were there. We told her everything. Without interrupting, she asked our therapy goals. Liam wants to stop being torn between me and his family, and I want to stop feeling awful about being honest. She nodded. Good goals, she said. We can only manage our reactions and dedication to each other, not his family. She helped us identify limits, what we would and wouldn't take from his family, how to support each other when his mother or sister opposed, and how to communicate when stress was severe. We left feeling lighter, not fixed, but like we had tools and weren't drowning. A common acquaintance told me Sarah had started actual therapy for her conduct and entitlement issues, not simply custody evaluations. She came every week and did her assignments. I was suspicious, but I hoped for meaningful improvement. She always manipulated, played victim, and dodged accountability. Could treatment change someone? Was this another court show? I did not believe it, but crossed my fingers. What his oldest told him resonated with me. I met David downtown for coffee. He looked better and less fatigued than at court. He said my testimony mattered and that the judge took it seriously. His kids were getting healthier, more stable, and less frightened. The custody option was right because the kids needed stability and safety. 5 months after the wedding, I ate lunch in class and graded papers when a woman entered. School security. She approached my desk, started talking quickly and said she needed my help, that I had to talk to David about more custody time, that her therapist believed she was improving, and that monitored visitation was embarrassing. I felt sorry for her despite the cake, slap and everything else, but I instructed her to leave my office again. She said she hurt me and wanted to be a mother despite her husband, kids and reputation. She cried, "Please. Please talk to David." I phoned security from my classroom door. A minute later, 2 security guards entered my classroom. After Sarah quickly said this was a misunderstanding and needed to talk to me, I told the guards she should leave. Requested her company. Crying, she grabbed her purse and looked at me again. I watched them take her down the hallway to the main entrance. My hands shook. Words blurred as I focused on my desk's mound of documents. 20 minutes later, my principal came. Entered and closed. Despite my misgivings, I nodded when she asked whether I was okay. She said the woman claimed relatives, but wasn't my visitor. It was briefly described without details. Principal frowned. She threatened to get a restraining order and call the police if Sarah returned. I thanked her and she squeezed my shoulder before departing. That night, I told Liam Sarah was coming to school. I returned home to find him grading papers at the kitchen table. I told how she got past security and cornered me at lunch. Face flushes. Standing, he walked our small living room. He claimed his sister was out of control and visited my job without permission. She pleaded for custody talks with David. He stopped walking and looked at me, recommending a restraining order if she continued. Sure, I agreed. Instead of watching TV, Liam contacted his mother about Sarah's antics on the couch. I heard from his father 3 days later. He requested for coffee without telling Liam or his mother. I hesitated but agreed. We met at a quiet coffee cafe across town the next afternoon. His elderly appearance amazed me. He shook sugar into his coffee before speaking. His wife was depressed and dying from family discord. His wife regretted not aiding Sarah as her position worsened. I anticipated his next query. Was reconciliation possible? Not between me and Sarah, but for family harmony. I liked his honesty. He wasn't asking me to befriend Sarah or forgive everything to get along. After her behavior, I told Liam's father I'd never go near Sarah. White dress, cake, her dominance over me, and school look. I told him I would be nice at family occasions if Sarah could respect limits and cease victimizing. She should know we'll never be close and stop trying. He appeared relieved. He claimed it was better than imagined and would show his wife that civil cooperation was ideal. Not her ideal family, but manageable. After coffee, he hugged me farewell. He liked that Liam married a strong woman. Sarah had good supervised visitation. 6 months after the wedding, Liam showed me David's lawyer's email. Sarah was always appropriate, patient and focused on the kids' needs, not her own, according to her therapist. The psychotherapist said she worked twice a week. Her lawyer wanted unsupervised visitation. No disagreement from Dave. His lawyer said the judge will approve due to positive reports. I felt something unexpected when Liam told me. Spending more time with her kids may have relieved or excited Sarah. I was furious at her for 6 months, watching her life fall apart. Sarah should improve for those kids. Liam and I hosted a dinner party 2 weeks later. We have brother-parent pairs. Normal individuals having a normal evening. No family or Sarah issues after dinner and salad. We opened too much wine and played board games till midnight. My mother took me to the kitchen for dessert. She loved how I handled everything and set limits and stood up for myself. I realized I was too fixated on family discord to progress. I went from letting Sarah design my engagement party to saying no, creating boundaries when others wept, and being pleasant without being a doormat. A few days after dinner, Liam's younger brother texted him to visit without family. He missed his brother and didn't want mother-sister conflict. Liam rejoiced. They were close before the wedding, and his brother was 22. He joined us for dinner and games the next Saturday. We ordered pizza and played video games till 2 a.m. Family relationships were easy and enjoyable. His siblings said Liam avoided family events because his mother, constantly making him choose sides, loved Sarah but thought her behaviors were dreadful. Delighted, Liam found happiness. He went that night, giving me my first hope in months. Even if it never did, the family may mend slowly. A stranger emailed me 3 weeks later. Sarah's therapist sent it. Nearly gone. I nearly let Liam handle it, but I opened it. Sarah delivered a proper letter, responsible without explanation. She wrote that she'd destroyed my wedding cake out of jealousy and anger, that wearing white to my wedding was meant to hurt me, that planning my wedding was about feeling important and in charge, that she'd had an affair with Carlos for 6 months and used David's money for trips and gifts. My reception ruptured from her irresponsible phone use. Letter was 2 pages. Everything she did wrong was shown. Her apology didn't mention stress or divorce. It seemed true after 3 readings for the catch and manipulation. Sarah's first significant duty. Liam asked me a bad question that night. He asked me to join him, his parents, and Sarah in family therapy to restrict family gatherings. Wasn't interested. Being with Sarah and his mother during dinner made me nervous. Liam's face showed he missed his parents and wanted his sibling to visit after the divorce. I promised to help him, not Sarah. The therapist phoned me the next day to recap. She said she would set limits and standards, not force me to forgive Sarah or pretend everything was good, but develop a method to get along. Choose to attend. Tuesday night family therapy began at 7 o'clock. Liam and I arrived first and held hands on a waiting room couch. His family arrived next. He saw his weary small mother, nodded but didn't speak. Then Sarah entered. Also, she looked different. Less makeup, hair back. She looked at her hands from a chair across the room. Therapist called us back to her office. We found all seats. No one spoke. The therapist set rules. One person speaks. Nobody interrupts. Focus on the future. Sarah was invited to read her prepared text. Sarah got paper. Her hands shook. She read me a direct apology. She said she'd been harsh and bossy from the start because she felt threatened by me and that spoiling my cake was unacceptable. That she caused my wedding affair eruption. Her voice broke several times, but she read. She stared at me after folding the page. Next, Liam's mother apologized for blaming me instead of Sarah, stating she'd always excused her daughter's conduct to protect her. That she had enabled Sarah's worst qualities and must stop. The room was quiet. Therapist asked me to react. Accepting the apologies, I said, trust would take time to rebuild. I would be pleasant at family occasions, but demanded defined interaction and boundaries. Everyone agreed. Another hour was spent creating rules. What was proper contact? How to handle boundary violations at family gatherings. I felt tired but lighter when we left, like we'd discovered a way forward without pretending everything was good or eternal strife. Our guidelines were written on a notepad by the therapist. Sarah couldn't call or text until Liam's parents were in danger. Nobody came to my house or office. No one discussed the wedding, affair, or related events at family reunions. We had our usual family dinners, and those who couldn't stomach it skipped it. Rereading the list, the therapist looked at us. These constraints shielded everyone, she added. They created a space for gradual healing without forcing anyone together. Nodding, Sarah said she understood. Wiping tears, Liam's mother agreed. My chest loosened. Not forgiveness, but the possibility of living together without bursting. Leaving the therapist's office for separate cars. No goodbye hugs. At the parking lot, Liam squeezed my hand and said he was proud. That night I slept better than months. Liam's dad turned 7 months after the wedding. His mother invited us to dinner at a downtown restaurant, a neutral setting without home advantage. She claimed Sarah will come. Though my stomach constricted, I consented. I and Liam arrived first and sat at the large table they reserved. His dad hugged us next. Younger brother and girlfriend arrived. Sarah entered with back hair and a modest outfit. Her greetings and seat at the end of the table from me. Waiters took drink orders. Liam's mother arrived last and kept staring at Sarah and me, but nothing happened. Ordered dinner. Weather, work, and Liam's brother's film were discussed. Sarah answered work questions but mostly kept quiet. She wasn't the focus of the talk. She dined and discussed the cuisine. Liam's dad told a fishing trip story that made Sarah and myself laugh. That felt strange. Not pleasant, but doable. Like we were all dancing this delicate civility dance. After dinner, we stood. Sarah hugged and wished her dad happy birthday. She nodded across the table. I nodded. As we drove home, Liam said it went better than expected. Yes, I agreed. That we finished dinner without fighting or yelling was a minor victory. Several days later, Liam called David to retrieve some tools he borrowed before the divorce. After hanging up, he seemed confused. I asked what other tools they discussed. Liam said David informed him he was dating a divorced gym goer with 2 kids his age. David said his kids liked her warmth and tolerance. He told Liam that Sarah was outraged when the kids mentioned their dad's girlfriend during a visit and called her therapist instead of beating them. Her therapist helped her cope with David's departure, and she didn't blame the new girlfriend or shame the kids for liking her. David appeared relieved Sarah was improving, Liam said, quite surprised. Sarah from before would have caused trouble or tried to turn the kids against their dad's new relationship. Therapy may have stopped her from destroying. 2 weeks later, I bought vegetables at the Saturday farmer's market. I was looking at tomatoes when someone called. When I turned around, Mrs. Lee had a basket of peaches. Smiled, she asked how my wedding was going. The past few months had been difficult, I informed her. Slowly, things improved. The family was learning to get along. Her nod showed her approval. Since Sarah only changes when someone faces real consequences, she was glad I stuck up for myself that day. She claimed too many brides let family members ruin their weddings without penalties. Mrs. Lee rubbed my arm and said I was stronger than I expected. A few minutes were spent discussing her bakery and business. She hugged me before seeing her daughter. I was glad she had her camera as I carried veggie bags to my car. Missing footage would have changed everything. Liam and I celebrated our first anniversary late spring. We never honeymooned owing to family issues. We drove to the mountains over a long weekend. We rented a little cabin overlooking a lake and pines. Without phone or internet, we were alone and serene. Daytime hiking, nighttime simple supper. Our anniversary was spent on the porch at sunset. Everything from last year was mentioned by Liam: cake destruction, affair exposure, custody battle, family therapy, everything. He said it wasn't our ideal first year of marriage. I agreed, but told him that going through it together had taught us how to communicate when things got tough, support each other, especially when his family was pushing him in different directions, and create and keep limits. Our 12 difficult months taught us more about marriage than some couples' years of ease. Liam held me and promised to marry me again, knowing what would happen. Kissing him, I agreed. That night seemed like our relaxing honeymoon, like we'd survived and could enjoy marriage. Liam said his mother contacted about Sarah 8 months after the wedding when he got home from work. Sarah advanced in marketing. In recent months, her manager noticed her professionalism and dependability. Collaboration, deadlines, and less self-centeredness are key. Liam said his mother was happy and hoped Sarah changed. I was delighted to hear it, not because I liked Sarah or wanted to be friends with her, but because it meant her punishment had helped her grow. People rarely change unless they face themselves at rock bottom. Perhaps losing her spouse, custody, and friends made Sarah do that work. The following Sunday, Liam's mother invited us to dinner. Sarah was laying the table when we arrived. She greeted us politely. Dinner talk was more natural than restaurant talk. Dad recounted Liam work stories. The brother planned a camping trip. Liam's mother interviewed me about my students and seemed intrigued. Sarah found her new job challenging but rewarding. A project Liam mentioned was inquired about. Nobody talked marriage, divorce, or anything significant. It was almost like a loving family supper. Sarah didn't interrupt or mock. She told her father and brothers and let me in. Without incident, she cleaned up after dinner. Telling Liam felt different, less forced, and less like everyone was on eggshells traveling home. He agreed and said we were finally making progress. It startled me when I informed my therapist I wasn't upset with Sarah anymore at my weekly therapy visit, not my months-long anger after the wedding. It became distant tiredness, like for someone who'd hurt you severely, but couldn't do it again. Under her fatigue was remorse over what may have been if she'd changed. We might have been friends if she had embraced me into the family instead of seeing me as a danger. My therapist nodded and approved of the change. She reassured me that letting go of anger didn't mean compromising standards. It means learning from the event and moving on without anger. Her words lifted me. Anger takes a lot of energy to maintain, and now I could use that energy for better things, like my marriage, my teaching, and my own happiness. Liam told me David divorced 10 months after the wedding. The settlement gave David the house and primary custody of the kids. Sarah could visit them every other weekend without supervision because she was steady, she had retirement and other assets. Sarah agreed without objection, according to Liam. Her therapist taught her that cooperation and putting kids first were better than court battles. David informed Liam he was glad to finish and start over. The kids adjusted well to the new normal. Visits showed Sarah as a more present and less self-centered mother. Liam's words seemed encouraging, like his sister was better. I was cautiously optimistic yet practical. Change took years, not months. Sarah received updates from Liam's mother a few weeks later. Her therapist introduced her to a man who was growing after his mistakes destroyed his family. Liam's mother rejoiced. She said this guy seemed more grounded and intent on being a nice person than Sarah's previous choices. Was hoping this would be better than Sarah's marriage from her life-destroying affair, Sarah learned. I hoped Liam told me that night. For her kids, not Sarah. Mom should be steady and make better choices. We didn't want another wedding-like outburst for the family. I was cautiously confident that Sarah had learned from her dreadful actions and their repercussions. Whether the growth was real or fake remained unknown. A few weeks later, Liam suggested hosting Thanksgiving at our house. To prove we could be together without turmoil, he welcomed both families. I hesitated but consented because I noticed his concern. He called his mother to invite her, and she accepted promptly, glad we tried. Then Liam called Sarah. In the kitchen I heard him talk. Thanksgiving prompted a long pause. Yes, I suggested inviting everyone. More wait. He looked at me and covered the phone. She wants to know if you're really okay with her coming to our home. I muse. It was unlike a restaurant or his parents' house. Nodded in my space. Liam agreed, and they talked logistics before hanging up. In the kitchen, he hugged me and said, "That was big of her. Asking if you were comfortable instead of just assuming she could come." I agreed. Sarah had never considered my feelings or boundaries. Thanksgiving morning I cooked for hours. While I made sides, Liam helped with turkey. His parents brought champagne and buns first. Mom thanked me for hosting and embraced me close. Liam's father held his hand and stated he was proud of our year. With kids, Mom Sarah arrived last. Instead of entering, she knocked. She arrived with wine and an autumn flower arrangement as Liam opened the door. "For you," she said. "Thank you for having us in your home." I accepted the gifts. The kids ran to hug Liam and Grandma. Sarah played with her kids and talked with her parents in the living room. She didn't enter my kitchen or criticize my table. Fantastic dinner surprise. Everyone discussed work and kids' school activities while passing meals. Sarah lauded the cuisine twice. After dinner, Sarah cleared plates without being asked. She and I filled the dishwasher at the sink. My teaching and her marketing were discussed. We talked about co-workers and projects for 5 minutes. Not friendly, but manageable and civil. Liam hugged me and said things went well when everyone departed that night. Yes, I agreed. We endured a peaceful family dinner. We believed it was possible. Our first anniversary was weeks later. Liam took off work and we browsed our wedding images on the couch in the morning. I finally got past the cake disaster and drama in those images. I walked down the aisle with Liam crying. My parents shone. I witnessed and meant our vows. Liam thanked me for standing up to his sister and hugged me. I questioned his meaning. He stated my refusal to let Sarah abuse me led their family to address decades-old behaviors. His mother typically excused Sarah. His dad was always quiet. They saw our wedding and understood they'd created a monster by not punishing her. They altered after that extreme experience. My phone buzzed with text. Lifting it showed Sarah's name. The message was short. "I hope you and Liam have a wonderful day celebrating your marriage." End. No lengthy apology or explanation. Simple, relevant message. I showed Liam, who smiled. He said, "We've come a long way." Rereading the text confirmed his claim. Sarah and I would never get along. Our friendship never included calling or shopping. We found something better than forced intimacy. True peace arrived. Without fighting, we could eat. We can speak respectfully without acting. Our family could live without war. Sunday dinners continued. A holiday party happened. Everyone arrived politely. Sarah continued therapy and growth. Liam's parents stopped condoning wrongdoing. David provided well for his family. Honesty, boundaries, and respect underlay our marriage with Liam. Not always is perfect reconciliation and closest friends the best solution. Honestly, accepting complex facts is often required. Accepting that some relationships will always be hard, yet setting limits and reasonable expectations. Understanding peace doesn't mean rejecting history. It means learning from it and not letting it define you.